So just being really honest and having the transparent communication, I would say, is one of the easiest ways to at least be on the level. But my short answer is there is no one answer. People are going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. People are going to get jealous. You're going to get jealous. You're going to have your heart broken. Someone else is going to break their heart. And I don't know, there's something about that, while it might be poetic, that reminds us that we're alive, to feel something. If everything was easy, I don't know, would we be able to have some form of comparison to have something really beautiful, really magical, if there isn't a time when that wasn't the case and things were hard? So having that juxtaposition.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from all over the world to hear their personal journeys of self-discovery through the lenses of love, sex, and relationships.
Our mission is to show people that they're not alone and to inspire them to embrace their true selves so that together we can open minds and live authentically without shame.
We believe everyone's story is powerful and beautiful, yet it's important to remember that everyone does life a little bit differently and that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we aren't doctors. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 444. Guess what?
What, Emma? Is it a palindrome episode?
It is. It's been a little while.
That is for sure.
So we're episode 444 today.
That's an inside joke for our long-term listeners. So thank you all for being here.
We're Emma and Finn, and today we have an absolutely beautiful conversation with Andre. He shares his powerful journey over the last 12 years or so after getting out of the Marines and finding his way to San Francisco, where it's safe to say he had a life-changing experience or two.
Or maybe even 3,
yes.
but you'll have to stick around for the bonus episode if you want to hear about how Andre and his ex-wife got banned from a hospital. But anyways, like you said, Emma, this is a really beautiful conversation, and it really captures the messy and imperfect adventure we're all on here on planet Earth as humans. And Andre shares vulnerably about the challenges and struggles he's faced in sex and relationships, as well as what he's learned along the way. We also talk about relationship design, writing our own rules, befriending jealousy, and Andre digs into his big why when it comes to exploring non-monogamy.
As you'll hear, Andre also shares a bit about his work in surrogate partner therapy as a somatic intimacy guide and coach, and he talks about his experience being on the TV show Virgin Island, which, by the way, is a fantastic show.
Yeah, we had such a great time watching it when the first season came out a couple of months ago. Well, I think it came out last year at some point.
Last year, yes.
Yeah.
And we also just realized that season 2 started releasing episodes a few weeks ago, so we need to wrap this up and go watch.
Yeah, as we were doing the research to put these show notes together, I was like, when's season 2 coming out? And I was like, oh my God, it's happening. So
you can already go watch season 2. You can find more about Andre's work in the show notes in your podcast player or by heading over to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com, and clicking on the podcast tab. And yes, go watch Virgin Island.
Yeah, and definitely check out all of Andre's work. Again, you'll hear him talk about it, but it is incredible and it is super powerful. And as we teased a moment ago, you are definitely going to want to stick around, come back for the bonus episode with Andre. If you're not familiar, our premium subscribers get ad-free podcast episodes, plus a new 10 to 15-minute bonus episode every single week where our guests answer some fun extra questions and give us an opportunity to get to know them even deeper than we do during our regular interview. You can sign up on the homepage of our website at normalizingnonmonogamy.com for just $4 a month. And if you do it right now, you'll get to hear us. You'll get to come back and hear us talk with Andre about orgasms, edging, his favorite sex advice, and of course, you'll get to hear how him and his wife got banned from a hospital. So go join us. We would love to have you. Check it out. Thank you in advance for supporting our work and supporting the podcast.
And with that, it's time to jump right into the interview with Andre for all of our premium subscribers, and for everyone else, a few announcements. First up, we hosted Relationship Recess at the beginning of the month just the other week, and it was absolutely incredible.
Maybe you heard us talk about it over the last, 6 or 7 months, every single week. Yeah. It's been a while since we've been telling you about this, and it
actually happened.
It finally happened, and it was mind-blowing and incredible weekend. So yeah, we will be back to tell you all about it more in more detail, and we've we'll even tell you about the next one, when it's happening, and how you can join.
Yes, more details coming soon about future events, and a huge thank you to everyone who made it as well.
Yeah, thank you to Gary from Breakthrough Play and the team from Malta Amory, as well as all of our volunteers and really everybody who joined us, who took a chance on us. We've been telling you about this for months and months and months, and we didn't really have any way to be like, here, go over here and look at this example. We didn't have any really great way to explain to you what it was going to be like, and you all took a chance, and I think, I don't know, safe to say we all had a fucking incredible time.
Yes.
So
Yes.
thank you, everybody who took a chance on us to make this happen. We cannot wait to do it again.
Next up, we wanted to remind all of you that we lead a community full of over 300 people socializing and supporting one another every single day. We host the community on a platform called Mighty Networks, and we have monthly community support Zoom calls, monthly virtual workshops, and in-person events as well, all for less than $10 a month. Our next monthly workshop is coming up May 27th. Mark your calendars. It is going to be with Miche, who previously did the Ask Us Anything episodes with Finn a few years ago.
Yeah, amazing. Miche is incredible. We've had her lead workshops at previous retreats and things like that. So definitely don't want to miss this one.
This workshop that she's leading is called Building Emotional Resilience and will provide a grounded experiential space to build your emotional toolkit as you navigate non-monogamy.
Yeah, you can find out more about this workshop and every other workshop that we have coming up the rest of this year, plus all of the workshops we've done over the last year and a half over under the workshops tab of our website. And a quick reminder that as a member of our community, you not only get whatever monthly workshop is happening that month, you get access to the recordings of all of our previous workshops. So for less than $10 a month, you get access to almost 20 workshops at this point. So definitely go check that out. Join us. We'd love to have you.
Next up, we wanted to remind all of you about our favorite way to get tested for STIs. Yes, we have a favorite way to get tested for STIs.
And you should too. May we suggest an option?
It is stdcheck.com. This is a service Finn and I have been using for years. You've heard us talk about it for years. It is fast, easy, discreet, and when you use the links on the resources tab of our website, you get $10 off, making a 10-panel test only $129, and you support the podcast. So thank you in advance for using those links and for knowing your sexual health status.
And the last thing that we wanted to tell you all is this, that we would absolutely love to hear from you. If you have any thoughts, questions, or feedback about the podcast or guests or really anything, we're here and we would love to have an email from you. You could also reach out for our favorite reason, which is to come on the podcast just like Andre did and just like the other 400 and some guests that we've had come on the show over the years. We would love to have you listener, come on and share your story. This podcast doesn't happen without people like you. So thank you in advance for doing that as well. Oh, I suppose you can find that over under the Contact Us tab of our website.
And now let's go and talk with Andre.
Well, welcome to the podcast, Andre. We're excited to chat today, get to know you. We know very little about you. Actually, we did see you on Virgin Islands season 1, so we know those little snippets. But other than that, we don't know much about you. So we're excited to chat today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad that you got to watch the show, and exciting that in about a month or so, the next season will be coming out.
I know, we're looking forward to it. We
are.
We had
Me
such a
too.
good time watching the first one. So
Yeah.
super excited for that. Well, we'll talk about that in a few minutes, but just wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself at whatever level you are comfortable.
So I've been teaching as well as learning, educating myself around intimacy, sexuality for better part of 12 years. Used to be in the military, former Marine officer, currently living in Barcelona, Spain. I coach people in the realm of non-monogamy, sexual challenges. I also do surrogate partner therapy, which was the work that was featured in Virgin Island. And yeah, I feel like I need to write a book one day because there's just been so many different chapters in my life. But I feel like that's a good summary of me.
Yeah.
Yep. Link to pre-order your books in the show notes. It'll be out in 12 to 15 years. So.
Pre-order now.
Pre-order now. Yeah, you don't want to miss out.
Unknown title. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe you can come up with a subtitle to start with.
Yeah.
Well, maybe since we teased Virgin Island, maybe we just talk about that for a second, give people an idea of what that work was like, or what the show was from your perspective as somebody who was part of it rather than somebody who watched it
Yeah, what that show was it felt like, uh, an experience that took a group of individuals who were having challenges connecting to their own pleasure, fears around intimacy, maybe never experiencing any deeper intimacy, into the fold of what that experience might be. And myself and other experts were there to help guide them through the challenges that they came to the island with. And I would say the majority, if not all, left with a newfound sense of courage, connection to self, desire for, relationships to come. Yeah, it was a social experiment. It's never been done before, and
Yeah.
luckily, Channel 4 was able to put this out into the world. Took a risk because sex and sexuality and showing intimacy is still very taboo. Like, there's a large
Mhm.
part of the world that just thinks it's sinful or wrong. It should be behind closed doors.
We live in one of those parts of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but also when we have conversations like the one we're having today, when we're able to, have courageous individuals deciding to put that on TV, and also the contributors, the people that were so vulnerable to showcase themselves,
Yeah.
then it becomes less taboo. It becomes
Yeah.
more normalized. So, yeah, a social experiment that was felt like just the greatest opportunity to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say from the viewer side, it was like, y you know, there's like I would say a stigma, probably rightfully so, around reality TV
Mhm.
and how sensationalized it all gets, and this, like, it didn't feel like that at all.
Mm,
Like,
No,
there
it's
were a
not.
few moments where, like, the editing, they're trying to
sure.
get you hooked for the next, but, like, all in all, like, it was like the cast, everybody on it was, like, supportive of one another. It wasn't about the drama. It was like, how do we show up and help each other do this really hard shit? And I thought
Yeah.
that it was just
Mhm.
amazing, and I think too, it was like, a lot of the people on there, like, really, really struggled, but you could see yourself in, so many of the experiences that people had. You're like, "Okay, yeah, that's me too."
Mhm.
So many parts of myself, I'm like, just happening real time on the screen, and so I highly recommend
Well, I think
if
it's an
Yeah.
opportunity to showcase something that so many people, like the majority of people, struggle with in one way or another.
Right, and I said it when we were filming, I say it today, thinking about, like, the age range between, like, 21 and 31. There's no way in hell I would ever have the courage to
No.
publicly come on, and like you said, like, a lot of reality TV feels very, like, kitschy and, like, produced and performative. And yes, while there might have been moments, I came in with my own skepticism that that might be the case, and it was so real. Like, everything that transpired, those weren't scripts, those weren't staged, that wasn't performing for a camera, that was showcasing challenge, that was showcasing work like surrogate partner therapy and sexological body work, things that people have never heard of,
Mhm,
in a really conscious and beautiful way. So, yeah, I had the same concern about saying yes to
mhm.
coming on, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah. I love it. It's really
Yeah.
great to hear that what we saw, like, really did mirror what the experience was, so I
Mhm.
Yes.
appreciate that. And yeah,
Yeah.
we'll put links in the show notes so people can go find it, but
If anyone wants to watch it.
highly recommend going and checking it out,
Yeah.
for sure. So
I'd love to switch gears a little bit and ask you kind of what your relationship ecosystem looks like today.
So I've been practicing some form of non-monogamy. I like to say consensual non-monogamy for the better part of 12 years. I started that exploration back in around 2014-ish timeframe. Right now, currently, I have a woman that I'm seeing. We've been seeing each other for about a year and a half. this is her first exploration into open relating, and I say first exploration for her, but still, like for me, even though I have had these years of experience, every person that you go into this experience with is going to be different. So I'm still learning, new ways of how to connect and our agreements and our boundaries. And then while we're also primarily exploring together, we're always shifting and seeing what new avenues we can open up. So there's still like potential lovers and solo exploration that happens as well. But my ecosystem currently is quite small because I live in Barcelona, Spain, and I've
Mhm.
just moved here recently. So getting to build my local community, but it's been a lovely, lovely adventure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing one, and I'm really curious what happened. It sounds like 12 years ago was a big time for you. It
Yeah.
sounds like that was you started non-monogamy a little bit, and you shifted into this work around
Yeah.
sexuality and all of this, so I'm curious, what was going on 12 years ago that everything shifted for you?
Yeah, I left the military and moved to San Francisco. So
Cor corruption.
and since both of you live in the Bay Area, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about, but for those who've never been or, want more context, going from a place where in the military, it's very structured, very rigid, not a lot of creativity or, openness to vulnerability or intimacy, which, it's a military organization, so it might be hard to do both of those. Moving to then San Francisco, one of the bedrock, locations in the world around openness, creativity, progressiveness. That's where I started my psychedelic exploration. That's where I
Mhm.
started learning more about my own sexuality, learning more about different relationship dynamics that I could potentially, partake in, even though I would say my understanding of who I was and what I desired in a relationship happened long ago, like in my teens, I just didn't have the language around it. I
Mhm.
didn't understand what non-monogamy was or the ability to love, multiple people. It was just something I didn't know. So
Mhm.
moving to San Francisco was really the jumping off point for me, and I had such an incredible experience, but also, as you both I'm sure know, like any relationship is going to be challenging, any relationship dynamic, and learned a lot of mistakes along the way. It wasn't just, sunshine and rainbows and everyone like, having multiple orgasms and it was just perfection. It
Yeah,
was hard, but
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't imagine going back to what I would like term as a traditional like monogamous relationship.
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm sounds like before the military and, like, in high school and things like that, you had an inkling of, like of relating differently to people, but never having the language and then going into the military, I imagine kinda shutting that down. I know I'm putting words in your mouth, but I'm curious kinda how that
Yeah.
felt.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, thinking back on the relationships I was having, I would be dating someone and then I would like someone else. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, if I like this person, that means that I don't like this person anymore. So I have to end this relationship to then go to this relationship. And then I was just hopping around and it didn't make sense to me in my body, but that's again all I knew. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
this one way of relating. And then, yeah, fast forward into the military. I would say I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by and find some really wonderful, open minded individuals, all genders. And doing so allowed me to really start diving into that exploration of self with intimate connection, desire, pleasure. And then fast forwarding again to moving to San Francisco when I was really diving into the exploration
Mhm.
of open relating, having some really beautiful sexual, deep connected experiences with more than one person just opened my mind.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So did plant medicine and psychedelics as well, but, in conjunction, it really allowed me to see a whole new world And yeah, I feel so fortunate for my time there.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Well,
mhm.
and I'm curious about that. Like when you land in San Francisco, it's kind of, I mean, I know we had a little bit of this. You land and you're just like, whoa, like
Yeah.
pretty much if you want to find it, it's here. You probably don't even have to look too hard. And so I'm curious
It's
what
a different place than anywhere else, like,
Yes.
especially in the US.
Yes.
so I'm curious what it was like actually like for you in those early days of like, okay, uh, I had these inklings as a kid but now it's like it's real. It's
Hmm.
happening. Like I'm watching it happen. I'm maybe having opportunities. What was that like for you in those early days of like landing in it?
Mm. Yeah, let me go back to that time.
Yeah.
It was exhilarating, like, feeling into my, like, body, thinking back at that time, it was exhilarating, it was nerve-wracking, um, it was scary, for sure, like, thinking about all of the parts of myself that were fighting what I was like what I thought was the one way to relate, the one
Mhm,
way to be in relationship.
mhm,
So there was a lot of initial shame and guilt around, having experiences, or at the
Mm,
time my former partner and I, when we were exploring with other people, whether it be a single individual or couples or groups, being very unsure about if what I was doing was okay. Like, again, the shame spiral. So it was a multitude of emotions, but ultimately it was it was education. I think that's the best way to describe it. I just learned so much about myself, even though I was having these experiences with other people. I was learning more about myself and what was capable, and also where I had fears, where I had anxieties, like my relationship with jealousy, with insecurity, with being what I like to consider a very, empathetic being and highly sensitive, and feeling like the energy of multiple people having
mm,
sex or exploring desire in the same room, and what that was doing to me, whether it would be a turn on or something that was overwhelming and I needed to remove myself from the space.
yeah.
So yeah, the initial, like, years, I would say years. It took me years to finally, like, hone in on also what I was desiring in open relating outside of just the pure physical pleasure.
mhm,
Um, yeah, educational is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Well, and I'm curious what it was that you sort of landed on when you see, like you said, you kind of honed, like, what was I getting out of, what was I looking for? Yeah,
Mhm.
what's the thing that brings you back and drives you in non-monogamy?
That's a good question. The the piece that I communicate often to any new person that I'm meeting in my life, or say, like, I also coach people in this, like, I help people navigate non-monogamy. I share this part of myself because every person's going to be different. The initial few years was no idea what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just going to go out on as many dates as I can. I'm going to experience pleasure in every form or facet, multiple different bodies, genders, just seeing what was out there. But then honing in, I realized what I was truly desiring was the freedom to allow for the possibility of anything to transpire. Meaning that while I enjoy sex, it feels good. It's fun. After you've had sex with multiple people, multiple different occasions over years and years, yeah, it still feels good, but now where's the substance for me? This is my experience.
Mhm,
Mhm.
So what I really was craving was just the ability to go deeper into emotional connection, build community, where I might sleep with someone once in 2 years, but the rest of the time is playing board games or having movie nights or traveling. So I realized that I just wanted to leave the door open for the possibility of what could be, rather than seeking or trying to find something. It was more let's see what unfolds. And that still is where I am today. Like,
Mhm.
any relationship I'm in, I share that while I might have intimate physical connection, maybe even romantic connection with other people, it's not for a lack of desire in, say, like the primary relationship that I'm in. It's just wanting to see what's possible rather than close the door to say, I can't do this because some, societal structure said that I could not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, establishing those connections first and then being open to seeing where they might go.
Absolutely. Yeah. How about for you both,
Mhm.
actually?
Mhm.
I guess what have you both honed in on in your relationship now?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, very similar in many ways. I think that we've experienced non-monogamy in different ways throughout our relationship and are in this phase right now of figuring out kind of an equilibrium of what really works for us individually and for our relationship. And I think so much of that is being able to be open to, I don't know, the unknown possibility with other people, like focusing
Mhm.
on the connection at first, and whether that's a friendship and you play board games every week for a year, and that's the friendship, great.
Mhm.
But that also might shift and change over time too.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
Would you add?
well, I think for me, yeah, it's the way you described it, Andre, I was just like, "Damn." It's a good thing that this is being recorded because it felt very, like it felt really, really similar for me. Is this, like, it's often, like, meeting somebody and being like, "Wow, this person just, like, seems like an incredible person. I'd love to get to know them more." And I think it's very much that, like, I don't necessarily wanna limit what that could look like. I also know that, like, my life does have limits to what that could be. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not in a place where I can just be like, "Let's do just, like, a 4-day whirlwind love affair and run off to, like,
Mhm.
go on vacation for" like, I can't do that. So it's
We
so it
learned that one the hard way too.
yeah, we've done you jump in sometimes, right? And so I think it's that piece of, like, there's, like, this sort of push-pull sometimes of the, like, "Oh, I want the absolute freedom to do whatever,"
Mhm.
but I think the place I'm getting to and have really gotten to the last few years is, like, how do I do that the within the constraints that my life allows
Mhm.
and theirs? So it's like it's really this, like, okay, here's what we're both feeling and here's what would be amazing, but also here's what both of our lives look like. Then, like, where does the Venn diagram overlap? And be
Yeah.
like, okay, well, what do we do with that? And how do
Mhm.
we have fun with that? And so, like, the way you described it, like, yeah, I might see somebody and we play board games and hang out and it's nothing sexual or physical for 99% of the time. And then, oh, but it's okay if we got naked and got in a hot tub or we cuddled or we
Mhm.
fooled around. But that also doesn't mean that, like, now we don't ever play board games again or
Right.
that we just got on an escalator and the next time we see each other, it's gotta be that plus something. It just, like,
Totally.
let's just be in what we're in and talk about what feels good and what doesn't and just keep
Yeah.
updating each other.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I like how you mentioned the escalator because I think about, like, my early, like, exploration in me feeling something stronger than just what might be a platonic friendship, and then thinking like, "Oh, like, am I supposed to do something now? Am I now, like, supposed to check in with this person every day? Are we now supposed to, like, put a label on something?" And that I would say that's part of the growth and the education I've learned is not everything needs a label, and also not every connection needs to be on that, like, escalator to
Mhm.
whatever, you might desire in a one partnership or primary partnership that comes with, like, traditional monogamy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting hearing you say that too because I think back to the something you said a few minutes ago about, like, every relationship, every connection we have is, like, a little bit different, and I think there's just so much learning and unlearning that comes with that because there's
Yeah.
to your
For
point,
sure.
like, do I need to check in every day? And it's like, sometimes you meet somebody who's like, "Yeah, I really want you to check in tomorrow." And then you meet somebody who's like, if you check in the next day without asking, like, "What are you doing?" And you're like, "I don't know. I thought that's what we do." And they're like, "I don't need this shit." And you're like, "Okay, well, I don't know how to do anything, I guess." Like, it's just like, so it's like, it's just this education, like, I gotta ask and
Yeah.
also be okay,
Yeah.
like, messing it up, quote unquote, messing it up. Like, that's
Mhm.
a pretty low stakes thing to be like, "Hey, how are you today? How are you feeling after last night?" Like, "What's this?" Like,
Mhm.
that's a pretty low stakes, error to make.
Mhm.
And then you just
Mhm.
learn, like, "Oh, okay, well,
Well, I don't even think it's an
it's
error.
not.
I
It's
think
just
it's
preferences."
well, and you're learning each other and you're learning different people and you're learning yourself along the way
Yeah.
too. And yeah, it takes effort for sure. It takes effort and intention and learning and growth and correction and all of the things.
Absolutely. I would say, like, you know, anyone who is either currently exploring or interested in exploring alternative relationships, it's not easy. But also, no, from my perspective, no relationship is easy.
Yeah.
It takes work, and there's going to be trade-offs depending on which direction you go. If you're, I look at it as a spectrum. Very traditional monogamy to what we might term like relationship anarchy. There's so much swing to where things can go, but ultimately, nowhere is going to be risk-free. There's
Mhm.
gonna be work that needs to
Right.
be had. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without a
Yeah.
doubt.
To your point, even in monogamy, right? It may look different. You may not be communicating with as many people, but there's still work there for sure.
Yes.
Well, and I would even argue too that there's still these potential bridges you have to cross, right? Like, you're monogamous, but you have a really great friend and you hang out a lot and it's flirty, but that's your friend's partner. And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, well, how do I navigate this? Because I think, my old way was just be like, well, just don't ever talk to him. Like, I can feel there's energy, so make
Mhm.
myself as far away as possible so it it goes away, instead of being like, well, could we have, like, talked about it and
Yeah.
acknowledged it and then just
Mhm.
been like, "Oh, yeah, I do think you're attractive and you think I'm attractive," and that's it, and that's
Yeah.
all we're gonna do with it,
I've
you
been there.
know?
I've been
Yeah,
there.
right. Well, similar, I guess, maybe along with that and tied into you mentioning that you're, like, feeling like a very empathetic and a highly sensitive person.
Mhm.
When you were talking about or just a moment ago when we were kinda talking about this, it dawned on me, or it's something that I maybe experienced myself, and I'm curious for you, is, like, when you can maybe feel that somebody else wants something more. And
Mm.
maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but, like, you can kind of feel it, like, "Oh, I'm supposed to do more," or, "I can tell they want more."
Mhm.
I I'm curious, like, that part of your sort of learning, like, was there a lot of crossing your own boundaries and your own, capacities because, well, I can feel them pulling me onto the escalator, and that's what I should do.
Mhm. The short answer is all the fucking time. When it comes to, like, crossing of my own boundaries, like, I would say that's the one piece of my educational journey that will forever be, like, constant. It'll never be settled, is figuring out what my boundaries are because they change, and how do I hold them in a way that honors myself while also considers the other human beings that might be part of this. Because, yeah, could I be absolutely selfish and say, I don't care about anyone else's feelings, just what I'm feeling? Sure, but that doesn't speak to my soul and and the way that I enjoy relating with people. So yeah, that happened all the time, and I find that for me, when it comes to like figuring out how to find the balance, it's challenging. Like, just in short, it's hard. And for me, I think one of the reasons why when I am first exploring like in a new city or a new place, I generally like to find people who have experience in open
Mhm.
relating, already have some form of like relationship or partnership rather than being a single individual, because it's a nice protective mechanism for me to say I know at least this person has someone else they can fall back on or rely on.
Mhm.
Even if hard like stronger feelings are felt, I know that they're not going to just be solely relying on me.
Yeah.
And that's something that I used to enjoy, kind of being the mentor you're brand new to this space. Come along, let me show you this wonderful magical world. And while that can still be fun, I also find there is more challenge when getting to the harder parts of jealousy, of attachment, that, um, you know, everyone's journey is different. I'm just quite a busy individual and maybe don't
Mhm.
desire at doing that as much in the
Mhm.
present.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, and I think that being a similar, I think, experience probably for both of us here, just like being super busy, like it does work better to find people who have who are also busy. I think,
Yes.
for me, for us, right? It's but I can also see that like some people be like, well, I'm super busy, so I look for partners who aren't busy, so they're just available when I am, and like
Mhm.
I think that's just
Both ways, we can
speaks
see
to
it,
like we
yeah.
Yeah.
could all be looking for different things, but yeah, I think really like I'm like, well, I'm really busy. It's actually really good that you're really busy because neither one of us is sitting around sort of pining for the other one. We're just both like,
Right.
oh, cool. We're both busy. Oh, like there feels for me like less hurt feelings when I'm like, oh, I can't go out next week because I'm doing this, and they're like, oh, well, I totally get it because I'm gone the next 3 weeks, and so I guess, hey, no problem. We'll see each other in 2 months, and
Yeah.
everybody's okay with that.
It's funny you say that because, as I'm getting to know more of the open community here in Barcelona, Barcelona itself is a very, like, transient city. People
Mm-hmm.
are coming in, coming
Mhm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes have to schedule something 3 months in advance just to
Yeah.
have one evening with this couple or this individual. But I think it's important to also just say that there is no one way of, like,
Yeah.
exploring these types of
Mhm.
dynamics, and sometimes it's good that you have someone who can match you in your busyness. I find one of the strongest elements that are is important for me in the connections I make is some form of felt independence,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that it's okay if you're busy. It's okay if there's nights that you really want me to come over or I might really desire to see you, but also not forming some form of I call unhealthy attachment where now we have to be doing all of these things together. We have to be checking in or sharing our phones, and even if we've just met like 2 weeks ago. So that's something I very much appreciate in anyone that I'm connecting with
Mhm.
is that they're independent and I know that they can stand on their own and aren't just solely relying on me.
Right.
Yeah. 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 That's huge. Like, I think I'm curious kind of along those same lines, other things that you've learned,
Mm.
in relationship as you along the way, which is
How much time do we
right.
have?
I mean, yeah. Maybe some of the highlights.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if I've spoken on many different podcasts around this subject, and it's often talking about, some of the really, like, delicious, sexy times, but I don't often go into the harder times, the challenging
Mhm.
ones. So I think one of the things that I learned for myself is that not every person is going to, and this might sound very cliche and like obvious, but not every person that comes into your life is meant to be there for a long period of time. They might be there for a couple days or a beautiful like weekend getaway. They might be there for a year. They might be there for longer, but I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to once we start feeling something deep, once we have really delicious sex, once there's this feeling of stars aligning, that I need to hold on to this, even when it starts to feel like maybe it's run its course. And it's a hard lesson. Like it doesn't make it easy when those times transition. But for me, one of the biggest lessons was celebrating the short relationships, the ones where I learned a lot in a short period of time, and it was okay that it was just a short period of time, that it didn't have to stand the test of time. But that's also a hard lesson to learn as you feel something deep for someone.
Mhm.
It's almost compulsory to like want to find a way to make it work or make it last,
Mhm.
even when you have all these signals in your body and your brain saying this might need to have a stopping point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think of, I mean, just I think a thing I said just a minute ago about, like, I couldn't jet off on a weekend love affair, right? But I think there's also, you know, I'm not saying this is what I have right now, but the idea that, like, oh, that could be all it is, right? It could
Mhm.
just be that, like, we both happened to land in the same city for a weekend. We met each other on the first night on a whatever, a food tour, and, like, we had a whirlwind 48 hours, and then at the end of it, it's not like, "Okay, well, where are you how do we keep this going? How do we keep this magic from here on out?" Instead of being like,
Yeah.
that was an incredible 48 hours. Let's keep in touch, but, like, we don't have to make it something more.
Mhm.
But, like, that's a hard goodbye to do if you're
It
just, like, you're
is.
just swimming in all the chemicals and the, like,
Yeah.
excitement of it.
Yeah, that new relationship energy is, like,
Yeah.
one of the strongest drugs out there, and I've
Yes.
tried a lot of different substances, so I can
Yeah.
speak to it.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a few drugs that you can go on benders for, like, 5, 6 days, and then you, like, come up, you're like, "Oh, wow, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is outdoors.
Yeah.
Alright."
I
And
do
that
have
could
a
last
body.
9 months or
Yeah,
12 months.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a real thing, and I actually credit, a woman that is still in my life, and we've had so many different ways that our relationship has shifted and transitioned, from lovers to deep friends to now we only maybe talk every, like, 4 or 5 months. But how she approaches relationship or connection was such a gift to witness because the way that she connects is she might meet someone at a grocery store and have like a 5-minute conversation and feel the sparks that we're talking about and invite them to come stay at her home for 3 days 4 days and just be in this amazing crazy love bubble and then that be it, and but she never wanted to, like, stop herself and say, "Oh, wait a minute, the logical part of me says I should take this slow or only, wait 2 days before I text this person." She's like, "No, if I have this feeling and it's deep and I want to, explore this, I'm gonna do that even if it is only a few days." So, yeah, I really credit my time of knowing her because she opened my mind and my eyes to you don't have to follow these like rules of life. You get to make your own rule book.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
No, I love that, and, I'm curious in this for you, Andre, how I'm just, like, sitting here thinking of, like, the right wording because it's not how do you do this without hurting other people? Because I think in some ways it's inevitable, right? You're gonna there's going to be hurt, there's gonna be
Mhm.
sadness, there's gonna be grief, but, like, how do you relate in this way that also cares for other people, right? Like, if you're gonna meet somebody at the grocery store, invite them back to your home for a couple of days, how do you set that container? I know this isn't necessarily your experience, but, like, how do you
Mhm.
do that in a way that at the end of that 3 days, the person, you don't just, like, kick them out on the street and they're just like, "Well, what the hell just happened?" Like, their head's spinning.
Yeah, yeah, it's a man, if I had the answer to that question and then knew that that would be like, put that in like writing and every relationship would just be
Yep.
easy street. I feel what I've learned for myself is just being unapologetically honest and transparent.
Mhm.
Like saying the hard things, like having those very authentic conversations. And I say that, and people might be listening and saying, "Oh yeah, well, duh, that would be like, that's obviously like an easy answer." But putting it into practice is a lot harder. Like I'm sure both of you can think about times when you didn't do the thing that you actually wanted to do because you were so concerned about hurting someone else. I know I've had too many experiences like that to count or
Yes.
there's a piece of you that is trying to, maybe, like, protect yourself so you don't, tell this person that you love them or ask their number because in some form or fashion, you're, like, going 10 years into the future and you're like, "Oh, this isn't gonna work, so I'm not going to explore this in this moment." So you limit yourself. So
Mhm.
just being really honest and having the, like, transparent communication, I would say is one of the easiest ways to at least be on the level.
Yeah.
But my short answer is there is no one answer. Like, it's people are gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
You're gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
People are gonna get jealous. You're gonna get jealous. You're gonna have your heart broken. Someone else is gonna break their heart. Um, and I don't know, there's something about that, while it's might be, like, poetic, that reminds us that we're alive to
Mhm.
feel something. Like, if everything was easy, I don't know, like, would we be able to have, like, some form of comparison to, like, have something really beautiful, really magical if there isn't a time when that wasn't the case and things were hard? So having that juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is important. The roller coaster, even though it's not always fun, it's
Mhm.
important.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
I agree.
and I think too, there's so much, even with this radical or trying to be as honest and transparent with somebody as possible, right? If you're like, hey, I know back to this because it feels like kind of an extreme case is like, yeah, I met you at the grocery store. If you're sitting there in the produce aisle and you're like, hey, you're going to come back, we're going to do these things, and then on Sunday, this is where it's going to look like this. Would that work for you? And like somebody might be like, yeah, that would really work. And then come Sunday morning, they're like, no, this did not work. I don't want to so
Mhm.
we also have to leave room for the fact that like we might think we can do something and then we try it and it didn't work out or I think maybe tying it all the way back to something you said earlier is like I had to try a lot of different things and you
Mhm.
actually have to like try them instead of just like reading about it in a book.
Right.
It's like, okay, I read that thing. Could I do it? Oh, I
Mhm.
thought I could do it and I really couldn't. Or I didn't think I could do this one, but look at that. It works great for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I was thinking about something I recently read around the idea of, like, blame. Like, whether we're
Mm,
blaming ourselves for something not working out or blaming someone else, instead of blaming, just seeing that experience as a lesson,
mm,
seeing that experience as a, "Oh, what did I learn from this?" rather than, "I can't believe I did this," or, "I can't believe they did that to me." And really, which also for me has been a lifelong journey of realizing, is what we can control. So we might be able to tell someone exactly what we're able to provide them, how we can show up, what our boundaries are, like, just so fucking honest. And someone might not hear a single word that we said, and they're going to have their feelings, and then we'll be like, what the fuck? Like, I just said all of these things. I told you what I could do. Did you not hear me? And then we get into again, that, like, blaming rather than saying, okay, I realize I did the best that I could. I'm able to control what is in my own universe, which is basically just maybe in my body, my emotions. And that's about it.
yeah.
Everything else, I have 0 control over. You could think that you have the best communication, that you're just, a guru when it comes to relating, and you can still be in relationships that are really fucking tough because this other person has their own emotions and their own way of, processing that might not match yours.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's really inconvenient of them to have their own agenda
Son
and
of
their
a
own
gun.
emotion. Pretty rude if you ask me.
Yeah, I'm curious. Something that is very common and often we hear about people navigating non-monogamy and like other relationships is navigating with jealousy and those insecurities that come up. And I'm
Mm,
curious about your experience with that and have that's been something
mm.
you've navigated.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I would say every human being is gonna be wired a little bit differently, and I feel somewhat fortunate that jealousy has I've been able to make good friends with jealousy, It hasn't happened too often in my life, but it still happens. I want to say that, but before anyone's like, "Oh, like he never gets jealous." No, I definitely do. But I've just learned through my own practice, through my own education, how to m- understand what that jealousy is, and rather than putting it on someone else to like caretake, what are my responsibility around jealousy? And I see jealousy as something that where we feel like we're not getting in the relationship, and it's not so much the responsibility of someone else to know this, it's for us to be able to communicate that. So if I'm feeling jealous because, I feel deprioritized. Like, we used to spend more time with each other, but now you're spending more time with this person, rather than the blaming of, like, "I can't believe you're doing this," or, like, holding on super tight to that individual. It's like, what do I need to help make sense of these feelings that I have? And going back to the honesty and the communication, that's something that I've learned how to make sense of. And you might be listening and also say like, "Oh, but I'm never jealous. That's never happened to me. I'm super secure, super confident." Wonderful. I happy for your journey. And you never know what person is going to come in to bring in that moment of jealousy. So it's rather than avoiding jealousy or trying to pretend like it doesn't exist, like I said, making friends with it.
Yeah.
Rather than this thing of like, "Oh, I'm feeling jealous. That means non-monogamy isn't for me. That means this relationship that I'm in isn't going to work." Rather saying, "Okay, this is just a feeling, and how can I process this?" Whether it's on my own, through support, I would say having some form of coach or therapist if you're exploring non-monogamy and you're running into challenges, rather than trying to fix that just on your own, like seeking outside perspective is a great way to help you process that jealousy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think too, one of the things that I heard in there was the I think the transparency and the honesty still play in here, right? Because not putting it on somebody doesn't necessarily mean don't tell them you're experiencing it, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's somewhere that I know we've we've stumbled and we see lots of people stumble is, well, I'm feeling this. I'm just going to hide it.
Mhm.
I don't want you to know I'm feeling it because that makes me bad at non-monogamy or bad at being a partner. And it's like, no, you can talk about it, you can share it. It's about not making them responsible for it. Like, hey, I'm still responsible for me. But like,
Yeah.
here's what's going on, and you're probably gonna feel it.
Well,
And
and
Mhm.
yeah.
also it's gonna likely come out other
Oh
ways,
yeah.
even if you try to hide it.
Yeah, resentment will build, like, little snarky, like, comments, and I've done that before. I've definitely, like, felt jealousy and, because, again, at the time being seen as, like, a pillar in the community in my time in, like, San Francisco of the relationship I was in and, having to, like, have this persona of someone who just has this all figured out.
Mhm.
The moments that jealousy came in, I'm like, "Fuck, I can't show that this is a hard thing because if it's hard for me and everyone's looking at us and saying, if they can't fucking do it, there's no way I can."
Yep.
That was unnecessary pressure that I put on myself and also unfair because it was painting a false picture, which
Yep.
is, yeah, jealousy happens. And it's important, as you say, to like just be able to name it. And if like one like little exercise I would say if you're like listening and you're wanting to figure out how to share that you're jealous or have a tough conversation, I would always recommend not being like in a confined space. I
Mhm.
always like to go for walks where your body's moving, where you're outside, because sometimes when you're in a like a stationary place and you're feeling a lot of emotion, you start to like get a little like anxious or and then that's where sometimes defensiveness comes in. So taking walks is a great way to help process the emotions that you're having in your body, being able to breathe and yeah, again knowing that it's okay. It's okay to be jealous. You're not doing it wrong. You're not, sucking at, open relating. It's very natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up. Definitely don't recommend in a car.
Nope.
Yeah, well,
that
yeah. Good point. Yeah, when we say movement outside of a
Yeah, yeah.
vehicle.
vehicle, right?
No. We often recommend the walk
Yeah.
too, and I think the other thing that comes along with that is it puts you side by side with the
Yeah.
person,
Mhm.
and you're rather than face to face where you're maybe feeling like there's some, I don't know, symbolism in that
Mhm.
that is like,
Mhm.
yeah, we're walking together side by side towards something, not how do we oppose each other here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that.
I think it was also funny hearing you say that like the you don't know where, like, what person's gonna come in or what situation is gonna happen that might trigger jealousy. It reminded me of we talked to Danielle, who's uh, one of the
Oh,
hosts or one of the
Yeah.
creators of Virgin Island
Yeah.
and the Somatica method,
I know her
and
well.
sh yeah, and she was telling a story about how, like, I think it was, like, uh I don't know if I'm gonna get it perfect, but I think it was her husband had a partner come over and vacuum or vice versa, like, she had a like, somebody needed the house vacuumed and a partner came over to do it, and, like, that was the trigger moment. It was like, all these other things were fine, but,
Mhm.
like, what is this person doing at our house vacuuming?
yeah, like a
Right?
domestic
The
Interesting.
Yeah,
thing.
and we've
Yeah.
heard, like,
Yeah.
hanging Christmas lights, like, they had a partner
Mhm.
over and they, like, put a string of Christmas lights up and they're like, "That's our thing," and it was,
Yeah.
like, totally fine everywhere else,
Yeah.
and then something, like, completely seemingly innocuous will come out and, like, catch you.
I mean, if in that scenario, like, anyone can come over and vacuum for me. Like, I
Yeah.
don't like vacuuming, so, like, please.
You're good with the vacuuming?
Open
Yeah.
invitation.
That won't be my trigger moment, no.
Yeah. Was there a moment for you that you remember back on, like, "Where did this come from?"
Hmm. It was a small moment, but it was still a moment I was able to name. I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting that I feel something around that," which
Mhm,
was, um, a, former lover of previous partner. We have a dog that we were sharing. He took the dog on a walk, and I was in a moment where I just needed to get up and move around because 'cause I'd been in, like, calls all day, and I was really excited, and my dog wasn't there, and he was being walked by, and I love this guy, like, he and I, were really great friends, but that was a moment where I was like, "That's my thing. You took my
mhm.
thing in that moment." So, while that's a small example, it
Yeah,
happens. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
because I think that's, we maybe are always searching for, like, this was the big, but, like, we feel these moments little bit throughout the day, right? It can happen
Mhm.
at the grocery store or wherever, and it's just these moments of that I think we often ignore or
Mhm.
I don't know if we're taught to ignore, but we're conditioned to ignore over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought of another one. I very much enjoy practicing kink and BDSM in my
Mhm,
personal life as well as professionally, and um, I there was a moment where a former partner was sharing an experience that she was having with this other individual, and she has shared so many different experiences, and none of them hit me, but there is one where um, they, like, shared a intense moment of, like, eye gazing, and I felt this, like, ping of, like, "Oh, shit," like, I'm jealous of that. Like, that is something that is so vulnerable and so intimate beyond the spanking and the flogging and the penetration, like, that was the thing that was like, "Ooh," like, I'm actually feeling jealousy in this moment from that.
yeah,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
I appreciate that,
Yeah.
Andre. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Relatively small things that are not necessarily small, but
Yes.
can feel small in the moment, but actually, no, this is something there's a reason there. There's a reason that I'm feeling this thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm curious, what drew you to start bringing this into a professional lens and doing studying, working?
Yeah. Um Well, again, San Francisco, and
Be careful if you move here. Your whole life will change.
I was gonna say, you're
yeah,
definitely
if
not the
you're
only
very
person.
comfortable in your life, if you don't want anything to change, don't move to San Francisco.
Don't even visit. Don't even visit.
So this was early on again in my exploration, and I was having sexual, physical, intimate experiences with play partners, with lovers, and I would say quite a few times, maybe 4, even 5 times, these experiences that the, women were having. Also enjoy, exploring with men as well, but in the early years of me learning more about my sexuality, I was still unlearning that, um, you know, this one body is what I'm able to explore and enjoy.
Yeah.
So I was having these experiences with some of these women, and for me, it was fun, it was pleasurable, it was sexy, but I was actually being reflected back to me from them that these experiences were quite therapeutic, were actually very healing. And I didn't have language around, any of this at the time and didn't know how to respond to some of the things that were happening, like um, big fits of like laughter, um, big deep emotional cries, some yelling, some lashing out like at my body, and I thought I was doing something wrong. So I would check in. I'd be like, "Oh my god, are you okay? What's happening?" Like, "No, no, no, no. Continue whatever you're doing. This is just something's coming up for me." And then afterwards, hearing how that was so impactful for them and I should do this for a living, I I had a lot of my own shame and judgment around what that meant. Like,
Yeah.
so if I'm gonna do this for a living, I have to get paid. I need to make money. So I'm gonna take people into very vulnerable, intimate experiences and ask them for money. Every alarm bell in my body was like, "Nope, you can't do this. That's wrong. No way." Um, but again, after hearing it a few times and my own processing, I listened and, with some other people that were mentors who were also doing that type of work as well, it allowed me to have acceptance around that. So really, I have to thank those beautiful human beings who were so vulnerable to share those experiences with me, as well as you know, tell me I should try doing this as a profession, and I'm
Mhm.
still doing it today.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds like that kinda catapulted you to learn from others and also just start to learn more in general, get more education, and start down that path.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always like to say I'm a constant student in life, and especially in the realm of intimacy and relation to human human connection. I'll never stop learning because every person that you connect with is going to teach you something new. And, yeah, I feel very fortunate that people trust me to be able to go into some really challenging spaces.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm curious kinda today, what does it look I'm sure there's different ways that you work, but what does it look like to work with you?
Mm.
Mm.
I have different ways of working with people. I mentioned surrogate partner therapy, which is a triadic model that also involves the coordination with a licensed therapist as well as the client. I do sacred intimate work, which is similar to surrogate partner therapy, but there is no licensed therapist. It's just me and the other individual. I do in person and virtual coaching. And I realize because I was learning as I go, and I'm still learning, which is every person, while they might have their own individual challenge, might not be well suited for a particular offering. Like some people
Mhm.
need a lot more support. Some people have a good handle on what it is that they're wanting to work on and might be better for this particular type of work. So most of the work that I do is somatic, embodied, physical. So there is touch connection happening. And I'm also learning more about the work as I get, older and as I've been doing it for these years, is it's shifting for me is what does 5 years from now look like? Am I still gonna be doing this? Or am I starting to feel like transitioning to something else? So I'm constantly asking myself these questions too because it's such an important I find this work to be some of the most important work in the entire world, but it's also something that's very, um yeah, it's very polarizing for a lot of the world as well, and
Mhm.
wanting to protect that and make sure that I'm keeping myself safe, that the people that are working with me are feel safe, and if there's ever, a moment that doesn't feel aligned for me, then maybe that the work will need to shift for me as well.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Well, and it's not work. It's not a 9 to 5 where you just come in and you punch a time card and you're on. Like, you've gotta be super present, super attuned, super like,
A
it's a
lot of energy.
it's a lot of
Mhm,
energy. Yeah.
mhm.
It is, and I would say it also in some form or fashion affects my personal life as well. The way
Mhm.
that I enjoy physical intimacy in my personal life has shifted over the years because I'm, you know, I've got this one place that I'm doing certain things and working in a certain way. And if I'm also doing that in my personal life as well, that's going to get boring or that's going to start running its course. So
Yeah.
I've also noticed how the way that I relate in my personal life, especially in the physical intimate space, has shifted. Like I
Mhm.
desire far less, like, penetrative experiences in my personal life because I might be doing that a lot more in my work.
Yeah.
So, getting to go outside of what my, like, paradigm is when it comes to physical touch and the way that, I'm sharing physical energy with someone has been also exciting, but also, constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes me think I know this is like a maybe a brash comparison, but like a professional chef, right? Like they all day long at work, they're cooking, they're eating, they're experimenting with food. Then they go home and like the family may not get the same five-star dinner or meal, but like how do you still how do you still bring that connection back to your personal life? You don't lose it. Like you don't
Mhm.
lose that part of yourself that is
Mhm.
purely for you and purely for your pleasure and joy, not
Yeah.
just taking care of, guiding, being in it for somebody else's growth and
Yeah,
learning.
I think it actually correlates well with, like, open relating, alternative relationship styles, which
Yeah.
is just because you've opened Pandora's box, that doesn't mean you can't close it. So,
Mhm.
Mhm.
it might be a period of time where I'm not having physical connections with people, or if I'm in an open relationship and say we're exploring all the different, like, paradigms of that, that maybe we're closing the relationship for a period of time just to come back to one another.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be like okay, we've been here, now we have to just keep progressing and progressing. It's okay to take a pause or, take a few steps back.
Yeah.
So yeah, that made me think of that.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Totally.
mhm.
Well, and that even they may not even be steps back, they're just steps,
Yeah,
right? They're
Mhm.
steps in a direction that's not the same direction we were going, and
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. I'm curious if you have a blooper or something funny that has happened to show relationships haven't don't always go as planned that you'd be willing to share, interested in sharing.
Oh my god, I mean, I've got a whole repository in the back of my head on things that have happened. I would say one of the first dates I went on when I first moved to the Bay Area, um, I was dating someone at the time already, and I explained to this woman, what what I was doing. I'm new. I want to get to know people. I'm not like looking for anything like serious in the moment. I'm just wanting to explore this realm. And we had our date. It was not the greatest, but it wasn't the worst. And then the date ended. She came in for a kiss, and I politely said, "Oh, I'm not really feeling that energy for tonight, but maybe we can try exploring that again in the future." as soon as I left and got into my Uber, my phone just started blowing up, and she's like, "I thought we had something special. Um, you made me think that this was gonna be something that was gonna, like, last. Um, I I can't believe you did all." I'm like, "Oh my goodness." Like, going back to you might share so
Yeah,
honestly and
as
so
soon as I'm like, that's exactly what happened.
and it's as if she heard none of it. So that
Yeah.
one was just that threw me for a loop. I was like, "Wow." I that was a big lesson for me that there's nothing about anything that is solid when it comes to how you communicate. Someone might just have a very different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just find it so fascinating to be two people on theoretically the same date having completely different experiences. And I think
Yeah.
that's just speaks to what being human is.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. It's a wild journey being a human being.
Yeah.
It sure
Ain't that
is.
the truth?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for everything that you've shared today and for the work that you do as well. Definitely links will be in the show notes for anyone interested in learning more and for watching Virgin Island. But I'm curious, is there anything else that you wanted to get out there today?
Mm, yeah, I would say, you know, this is a journey. Like, if we're talking about relationships or exploring open relating, it's a journey. So, even if you're having a rough time or a rough moment, or you're in a moment of everything's going perfectly, life and its impermanence. So things can always shift. So just be be easy on yourself. Don't think that because things are hard that you're not good at it. Yeah, just be give yourself a lot of, like, grace and compassion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Andre.
Again, being human is not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And for our premium subscribers, Andre has agreed to answer some fun bonus questions. So if you are a premium subscriber, we'll be back in a few minutes. And if you are not, maybe you should be. You can find out how to be on the homepage of our website for just a couple of bucks a month. So yeah, thank you, Andre, for being here.
Thank you both.
We'll see you over in the bonus questions.
Okay.
And we're back. Thank you so much, Andre, for coming on, sharing your story, and for all of the wonderful work that you do as well. A quick reminder to listeners to go check out all of Andre's work using the links in the podcast show notes.
And another reminder to all of our listeners to jump over to the premium subscription where Andre joined us for, again, some additional conversations. We have a great time chatting. So yes, thank you from my side as well, Andre, for coming on and for the work you do and for supporting our work as well. It means the world.
One quick reminder for all of you listeners that our next monthly community workshop is May 27th. Mark your calendars. Come join us. It is going to be with Miche, and it's called Building Emotional Resilience. You can find out more over on the community tab of our website. Also, there's a workshops tab that lists all of the details as well.
We got lots of tabs. Check out the whole website. You'll have a good time. I promise.
And next week, we're coming back at you with another interview. This one is with Courtney. You're not going to want to miss it. So come back and listen.
We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.